YouTube family, welcome back. My name is RillSheed Bonner and I'm a school psychologist and behavior intervention specialist. And today I want you, yes you, to come with me as we take a trip back in time to revisit a very critical time in my life that led me down this career path. Now, just in case you haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about my experience in grad school, back when a brother could pull an all-nighter studying for a midterm, play 2 hours of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, then play 2 hours of pickup basketball at the campus rec center, all while fueled off of 2 glorious frosted strawberry Pop-Tarts and a Red Bull. Now, this video also serves as a continuation to a previous video where I talk about why and how I became a school psychologist. If you missed that video or you want to go in chronological order, you can find a link to that video up here and in the description down below. So check it out, buckle up, and let's go back in time. Now, overall, I had a really good experience. As a matter of fact, I had a great experience in grad school. I attended an amazing program that was one of the best in the country with some incredible professors. And I met some amazing friends and colleagues in my cohort, but I'm gonna circle back to this in a minute. I applied to attend 3 programs: Kent State University, John Carroll University, and SUNY Albany. Now, I knocked on the front door of John Carroll and SUNY Albany, the university that saw me evolve from a boy to a man. But Uncle Phil answered the door at both schools and threw me off the porch. On a serious note, shout out to John Carroll University and SUNY Albany. I got nothing but love for those 2 programs, and it was actually a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to attend what was, again, one of the very best programs in the country. Now, I knew Kent State School Psychology program was intense, and to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure what I was walking into, so I had some major questions. For example, none of my professors look like me, and chances are very few, if anyone, in my cohort will look like me. Will my voice and views be heard and appreciated, or will I be silenced? I applied for a graduate assistantship, but would it be enough to cover my tuition? I'm starting in the fall, but most of my cohort started in the summer. Will I be behind? I didn't have answers to these questions, but I knew I would in due time. Here's what I discovered. My cohort was, in fact, mostly white women. Now, this didn't surprise me one bit because the field was and still is, mostly white women. But fortunately, my cohort was super cool. I'm talking about just great all around people. And I went on to develop solid friendships with most, if not all of them. Now, the second semester of my very first year, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw another brother, yes, another black man join my cohort. I don't understand how people can downplay the feeling of seeing someone who looks like you in a setting where nobody looks like you. So yes, this brother was a breath of fresh air because I'm finally joined by someone who looks like me. He was older than me and had a lot of experience as a respected classroom teacher, but he also brought a much needed and respected dose of reality to classroom discussions when it came to racial bias and disproportionality against students in schools. And when I tell you that he taught me a lot about the importance of relationships, and we had some great classroom discussions about a number of topics. So right now, I want to give a major shout out to my man, Anthony. Let's get back to it. Now, most of my professors, well, they were also white. And while my professors didn't look like me and we had some very different cultural experiences, they were very aware of that. And that's something I appreciated. 2 of them were men. One of them was a British dude who many students in other cohorts, they were intimidated by. And he wasn't really known for being gentle with your feelings, and he told it like it was. Funny thing is, me and him got along pretty great, and I think it had to do with me not being intimidated by him, but I can't say for sure. I don't know. I might make a video about that someday. Now, unfortunately, I know a number of young black male school psychologists in other programs who had a very different experience from me. And unfortunately, these brothers were silenced, treated unfairly, disrespected, and not provided with the same level of support as their white counterparts. Now, I want to go back to some other things during my first year because fortunately, I didn't have any problems paying tuition. Thank goodness, because I had a graduate assistantship doing research and implementing tier 1 and 2 behavioral interventions with 5th grade students. And I absolutely loved it. In terms of where I stayed in a dusty, dank, on-campus apartment with a sweet mate who ended up being a cool guy. But still, you're not trying to live with anybody else, you're trying to live on your own. But you gotta do what you gotta do because you're in grad school and you're broke. So the coursework during my first year, it wasn't too difficult, but I learned a very valuable lesson. I learned I couldn't study and prepare the same way I studied and prepared in undergrad. Look here, man, I was a master procrastinator in undergrad. And why did I do it? Well, because I was successful at it. I did it because I could do it and I can get away with it. I wouldn't keep up with the reading and I'd start cramming for exams a couple nights before the actual exam. And I learned quickly that graduate school was way more reading than undergrad and I couldn't afford to wait until the last minute to study. I had to stay ahead of the game. To be fair, it ended up not being that hard because I was way more interested in the reading for my graduate courses than I was for my undergraduate classes. Now let me tell you something. My second year, my practicum year, yeah, man, that year was rough, man. I made the decision to take additional classes to get certified as a behavior intervention specialist, so I was taking an additional 5 or 6 credits per semester, in addition to being enrolled in the regular school psychology program and coursework full time. I still had a graduate assistantship, but I wasn't working with the 5th grade students anymore. Instead, I was driving out to the boonies in a rural area of Ohio to work with a preschool classroom. Man, look, working in a rural preschool was not my passion or strong suit. I wanted to work with elementary, middle, or high school, especially high school kids, in what most people would say is an urban district. So in addition to taking 432 credit hours of coursework and being a graduate assistant, I had practicum, which meant once a week, a brother was driving to work with a practicing school psychologist in an actual school and school district. And my first semester was awesome because I got experience working with my ideal student population. Now my second semester, I worked in a very suburban school district where the majority of students and educators at the school were white. And I was pissed at my practicum supervisor for sending me there because she knew where I wanted to work. But I have to admit, she was right, because it prepared me to step outside of my comfort zone and work with students in schools that I was not familiar with. So major shout out to Carla for that friendly nudge to step outside of my comfort zone. In hindsight, I needed that to prepare me to be a more well-rounded school psychologist. Okay, so now we have 630 credit hours of coursework, a graduate assistantship, practicum, and a brother also worked third shift at FedEx because my graduate assistantship didn't cover the full cost of tuition my second year. So 4 nights a week, I had to be at work at 11:30 p.m. So I typically got off around 5 a.m., but I didn't get off until 7 a.m. when the holidays hit. So some days I had to leave work at FedEx, go to either my assistantship or my practicum assignment, take a nap before class started at 4:30, take another nap after classes, and do the same thing the next day or two. So some days I was running off of 2-3 hours of sleep. So yeah, my second year was brutal because my plate was more than full. I was broke and the coursework was on steroids, but I wasn't discouraged because I was confident that it would be worth it. And it definitely was. Now my internship experience was pretty good and interesting, and I'll do a separate video covering internship, and then we'll get into some crazy stories, and I mean crazy stories, as I recall my first few years as an early career school psychologist. YouTube family, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment down below because a brother wants to know what's on your mind. Till next time, you already know what to do. Take care of yourselves and one another. Peace.